Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and ITY TV video interview. Today I'm joined by Marcel Zalloua. He's the CEO of GEYER VALMONT. Billed as Australia's leading design consultancy, Marcel is also the CEO of ResetData, Australia's first sovereign AI factory. Now, Marcel will speak with us today about GEYER VALMONT's suite of new technology tools set to change the face of the design industry on how technology, AI and digital twins are revolutionizing office design. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be here.
Thank you for taking the time. Now, before we get to the details of your innovative AI breakthrough, can you please tell us about the growth of GEYER VALMONT, which you founded in 2004, and briefly explain the work that you do and how it has evolved in the last 2 decades?
GEYER VALMONT, we started, Sergio and I started Valmont in 2004, and we did so really were at the ripe old age of 22. The idea was to start a business and make some money and move overseas and spend the money wisely over there and enjoying ourselves. But, 20 plus years later, here we are with over 130 staff across Australia and Asia. And we acquired GEYER in late 2018. And we spent sort of the last 5 years turning that business around and sort of bringing it into the GEYER VALMONT banner now that it is today. And it's quite a journey, but one that we're really proud of.
Now, back in 2004, AI was still something best experienced through the incredible imaginations of sci-fi writers. But here in December 2025, 3 years after ChatGPT burst onto the scene on November 30, 2022, its capabilities have rapidly evolved. Now, with AI impacting every sector, you and your team at GEYER VALMONT are using innovative AI tools to create a paradigm shift in the world of commercial office design and leasing involving digital twins and more, as I was explaining in the beginning. So can you please take us through this breakthrough and how it is providing tangible benefits to you and your customers?
Yep. So it's really interesting. You can sort of break the impact of AI into a couple of different buckets. So the first one is the ability for our tech team, and yes, we're a design house, but we've got a tech team now built within the organization that's focused on building these AI tools. But one of the key things we've been using AI for is helping us automate our existing technology stack. And what that does for our business is creates huge amounts of efficiencies, which then allows us to provide some not only financial benefits to our customers, but also speed and agility for our customers to respond and deliver products a lot quicker. And then the other piece is how do we, look at the industry we're in, which is the commercial built environment, and look at the existing built environment and go, look, where is the world going to be in 10, 15, 20 years time from now? And, I've been saying this a lot lately. If you look out in the skyline, the buildings that are there are probably still going to be here, but the occupants and what they're doing within those buildings are highly likely going to be changing. So, we're on a bit of a journey ourselves into reimagining what those occupants in those buildings are going to be doing and what are the tools they're going to need today that's going to help them deliver what they need to do in the future.
Yeah, look, I remember in the 2010s, people were talking about digital transformation and robotic process automation. And then, even just over the last couple of years, at a lot of the conferences I've been to in Las Vegas and elsewhere, they were talking about the coming agentic AI era. And here we are in 2025, late 2025, December 2025. And all the conferences I've been to this year have been unveiling those agentic AI features, which again, they're still at the very earliest stages. I mean, people, you talked about 10 or 15 or 20 years down the track. I mean, people are still talking about what things will be like in 2030, which is just 5 years away. And, will AI robots be in homes doing the things that the Japanese have wanted robots to do with their elderly population for decades now? And we see the 1X Neo robot, we see Optimus robots. So, I mean, AI, the capabilities have been rapidly evolving. They're still going to evolve out of sight and out of mind. I mean, it'll make the PC evolution, the smartphone evolution look like child's play. And you obviously have been, heavily experimenting in these last 3 years with AI having changed. I mean, you probably would have been thinking about agentic AI things in 2024, and now in 2025, along with everybody else, you're actually implementing them. So, this must have just all been a futuristic dream when you started. But I mean, to see all this coming true and to be at the forefront of developing it, and now to be claiming and making this paradigm shift, I mean, we're really living in the future.
We definitely are, and the future started. I think the key thing here is experimentation. I mean, we've been on the journey probably longer than 3 years, but I'm a very curious soul, so I love challenging our teams to really experiment with technology and understand what some of the benefits we can bring to our customers are. And that's probably the key thing. We are very much geared towards value. Everything we do needs to have a value to the end point for our customer. And what is it that we're working on when it comes to AI that brings value to our customer? And some of the things we're developing are really, really interesting. They give a lot of value back to the asset owners, and they've been our customers for 20 odd years. And some of those things that we're developing sit around, just the fundamental fact of having a digital twin as your starting point. That virtual replica is going to be really critical to the future of AI and how these buildings integrate with AI. You know, if you think about it from a very simplistic point of view, if you start in the virtual world, that will be the foundation for everything that's coming, because everything that's coming is going to be simulated in that virtual world before it even establishes itself in the physical world.
Well, we never had that opportunity to do things in a virtual world to the degree that we can do it today. I mean, I guess over the past 10 years, people have been putting things inside of HoloLens and other headsets and let people walk through virtual spaces. And that's kind of been the beginning of that virtualization, that digital twin type of capability. But now with agentic and LLM AI merged with all the headsets, and even better ones are coming. I mean, in your recent media release, you speak about a technology called GVR. You've also got SunStudy. I mean, these are some examples of this technology at work with your actual customers. So can you just take us through a bit more detail on those and other things that you're doing with this tech?
Yeah. So, for example, let me talk first about GVI. So, GVI is our GEYER Valmont intelligence platform. It's taking our entire process, our 20 years of IP and history, and it's streamlining it into an automated platform that allows asset owners develop from 2D to 3D, and then be able to apply very different themes to different planning options, and then automating the pricing schedules, and then the design and concept pack at the end of it. This is the very beginning of that journey, and it's an automated process of something that took us generally 2 to 3 weeks to deliver for our customers. They can now get it, within a click of the fingers. It's quite a unique bit of tech that we're releasing. Probably something that's more exciting would be some of the work we're doing with Centuria, one of our largest partners, trading partners at GEYER Valmont. So Centuria came to us with a problem. They've got over 200 industrial assets. They were looking at trying to assess those industrial assets to whether they can hold solar panels on the rooftops. So you can imagine some of these big sheds are thousands and thousands of square meters. And they were looking for a quick way in which they could assess them. And they came to us asking us if we can use Omniverse as a tool to simulate solar panels. So in true GV fashion, yes, we love a challenge. We'll go down that path. And what we've essentially done is we've built in Omniverse a platform which allows us to very quickly create a digital twin of the industrial asset. And then we apply the SunStudy to it, which has a selection of solar panels. Those solar panels, you can select one. It will instantly apply the solar panels to the roof of that industrial building. It will then give us all the data we need. So it will give us the data from the BOM. It'll tell us exactly how many sunny days on average that area gets, how much energy those solar panels will produce, what the return on investment is over a certain number of years. It'll run through how much sunlight there will be attributed during winter as opposed to summer. And then we will then be able to physically see it applied to the roof. Now, that solves part of the problem, and it gives the our customer the data they need. But then what we do is we go to another level, and we created a finite element analysis tool which sits below that. And what that does is it goes into the actual industrial asset and it looks at the structure and whether or not the structure can withstand the weight of the solar panels. And it'll give you a red, blue, or green on each of those structural elements and tell you whether the deflection is acceptable or not. That is super critical to this because big industrial assets, their roof structures aren't designed to take huge amounts of weight. So this is a really good way for our customer to go in, look at this structure and go, oh, there's a lot of red there. They can start to remove some of those solar panels off that roof until they get a fully green roof, and then they know, okay, we can run the numbers again. They get that data. So they can do all of this via a desktop, and then be able to make a decision pretty quickly as to whether they should move forward with that particular asset or not. Once we've solved that problem, that is replicable across their entire industrial portfolio. So that's a really cool use case. It makes huge amounts of sense. We've built it, it's operational, and that's something that, is really showing some of the benefits we're going to see.
And I'm just imagining as you were describing the how the system works and whether the solar panels were too heavy. I mean, presumably somebody may have said, "Well, hang on, we've got a really big structure here. We'd love to have this maxed out with solar panels, but we now know that we need to fortify the roof or fortify the building in some way to accept that weight." And so would have been some circumstances where some buildings would have been fortified, and others they would have gone with a lower load because they didn't want to spend the money on fortifying that
Correct.
building, and that's just one of the
Yeah.
many variables that you can tweak as required.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of simulating the future. That's the power of the virtual world. You can simulate these solutions, get the data, and then make educated decisions on the decisions you make moving forward. And that's what we're going to start to see a lot more, being able
Yeah.
to create that synthetic data to help you make those decisions.
It just made me think. Did you ever play with an Amiga computer in your youth, Marcel?
Uh, I was very sporty in my youth, so I was playing cricket and football. I didn't spend too much time on
Because
computers, but
it's because I remember that
Amiga, Amiga.
there was a game called Populous, which was on PCs as well, and it was a bit like SimCity. I don't know if you remember the game SimCity.
Oh yeah, I remember SimCity.
Yeah, yeah, and Populous was like even further back in time. You were like a god. You could modify your environment and put um, volcanoes and oceans and lakes and watch the people grow. And I mean, those sorts of virtual worlds they're now real. You could do that with the infrastructure that you own, and it's not
Correct.
some giant game. It's reality.
Correct.
Yeah,
Definitely is. It's really amazing some of the things that are being released even in the last 2 weeks around how to actually create that virtual world and how we can start to take photos now and use a thing called Gaussian splatting. I hope I pronounced it right. To then create an instant virtual model.
yeah,
And it just comes out like pristine.
yeah.
It is amazing some of the stuff that it's doing.
Now, I'm just imagining your interface and how it's working. But I mean, AI has a natural language user interface where you can just talk to the AI that you're using, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT. On your phone, I'm forever showing people that you can do that. And they're amazed that you can have this,
Yeah.
human-like conversation with your phone, which was, unheard of. I mean, people tried for years to talk to Siri and Alexa and Google Assistant in that way and got rapidly frustrated when they realized that there were walls that you hit very quickly, but with the LLM you can just keep having these long conversations. So is this one of the ways that you and your team are interacting with your AI enhanced platform, or is it still more keyboards and mice for the time
Yeah,
being?
no, it's definitely built that way. We've currently got the LLM interface, so we call our LLM Leo. So Leo is our is our chat GPT. Leo sits in the background. He's doing all the commands from. We set up as a basic wizard on a web browser. Leo sits in the background doing all the command calling and those sorts of things. But the interesting thing for us is where we see the future is the interface being fully conversational.
Mm.
So what we see as our future in our industry is us sitting in a boardroom talking to our customer. Leo sitting in the background. He's part of the conversation. We will turn to Leo and say, Leo, can you show me three different options for, 10 Bridge Street in Sydney and give me a floor plan for levels 5, 7, and 10. And instantly he'll bring them up on the screen, and then we can communicate those changes through Leo instantly. So that's the sort of future we see. Typing in a prompt is probably not where we are going. We're going to more conversational, and Leo being part of our delivery team.
Yeah, I remember seeing the last season of Westworld, the TV show where there were these robots that were so human that some people couldn't tell the difference. And in this last season, the star of the show didn't know she was in her own virtual world. Things had very much changed from the first season, and she was talking to a computer interface and describing things and telling it to do various things. And I was looking at that sort of. I don't know if that was before or after ChatGPT had been launched, but it just struck me that this is a great example of how the natural language user interface works. I mean, we've seen that for decades in things like Star Trek The Next Generation, and we've seen various versions of that. I mean, Star Trek The Next Generation was even having iPad-type devices, which was in the original series from the 1960s as well. So, sci-fi has always been a great source of R&D, and it makes me think customers are always a great source of R&D ideas and pain points that you haven't considered. They're thinking of using your tech in ways that you haven't thought of yet. So what are some of the ways customer feedback has shifted the paradigm even further than you imagined?
I think a really good example would be on GVI. We presented it to a customer, and it really didn't strike us as a marketing tool. But quite interestingly, after our initial presentation and further conversations, we quickly realized that actually GVI is ultimately the best marketing tool for any asset owner who's looking to reposition their asset or develop a new asset. And that was quite striking. We never thought of it as being that, but essentially that's what it is. And it's helped us now refine the product and refine how we go to market on that front.
You're not just the design consultancy, but you're a design and marketing consultancy now too. AI has given you more superpowers that you had thought than you realized you had.
Exactly. It is. I mean, it simplifies. The beauty about AI, it starts to simplify many different sort of sectors that are quite adjacent, and it allows you to simplify those processes and bring them together under a single pane, which then adds value to the customer. I always come back to that. How are we adding value to our customers? And that's one way to do that.
Well, that's the big question about people's existence on the planet. How are you adding value? Are you creating as opposed to just simply sitting there and consuming? And clearly, as a top design consultancy, you are very much creating, and now doing so with the help of AI, which I guess you must have been, like you said, you've been working on it for more than 3 years, but these last 3 years has really crystallized it, and it's just we're all marveling at what's going to come in the next 5 years. I mean, I'm going to CES in January, just in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and the big themes again are going to be AI, but also robots. So I'm in awe myself, and you're all at the cutting edge of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about robots. Robots are coming. I talk about the virtual world, preparing our customers for what's coming in terms of robots. And I can tell you what robots need to train is synthetic data and the virtual world. And that is essentially what I've been encouraging all of our customers to start thinking about. If we are heading to a world of robotics and an integration of robots in our workplaces or those sorts of things, how are we going to train them? Let's start preparing your virtual world for this so that you can lead the way when it comes.
Yeah, and it's not just workplaces; it's factories, it's farmlands, it's our homes.
But
The
yeah,
virtual.
workplace
Yeah,
covers everything, right? It could be
yeah.
home, could be you could be working from home, you could be working in an office tower, you could be working, on a construction site. Your
So what else?
workplace is
Yeah,
your workplace, and robots are coming.
absolutely. Well, I can't wait. I mean, I've been reading about them from Asimov's stories and seeing them in sci-fi. And I mean, just quickly, have you seen the video of the 1X Neo?
I haven't.
Go and check it out.
Alex, I'm not
1X.
I'm not big on watching TV or watching videos.
Oh, sure.
I'm
Well, this was a couple of this was about a month ago. 1X dot tech. I think it's 1X dot tech or 1X Neo. There's a 9 minute video of somebody who looks a bit like you and me. Been around watching sci-fi and knowing of these robots and things for our entire lives. But he's actually made one that is going to be on sale for $20,000 US or $499 a month to lease it, and he will come into your home, or it will come into your home, and load the dishwasher, load the clothes washing machine, load the dryer, water the plants outside, help you bring things in from the car. I mean, it'll do all the things you want a robot to do, and although we've seen Optimus from Elon Musk and we've seen, a dozen robots flanking Jensen Huang, the chief of NVIDIA, when he gives keynotes on stage, I mean, this guy's selling them. And it'll be on sale and available to work in your home or office from early next year. So, I mean, that robot revolution, it's not still far off. I mean, 2026, they'll be in people's homes. I mean, they're in people's homes right now. The founder was talking about how his life is completely different because he owns one of these robots. So, there's a famous saying from William Gibson, who wrote Neuromancer, which is being turned into a TV show for Apple TV. Can't wait to see it. But he said, the future has already been invented. It just hasn't been widely distributed yet. And that's the truth. The future's here. We're just on the cusp of seeing it. So what else do we need to know about GEYER Valmont and how it will further evolve its offerings as AI's rapid advances accelerate even faster?
Well, GEYER Valmont, the future is pretty clear. I'm a firm believer in the future, but I'm also a firm believer that we control our own future and we define it. And we are really excited about defining the future for GEYER Valmont. And our future is one to lead what that could look like. Lead the definition, lead the understanding, lead how we execute some of this stuff for our customers, and how we prepare them would be, the legacy we want to leave behind. So that's something that we're really proud of, and we're keen to keep defining what that future is.
Now, Marcel, you're also the CEO of ResetData, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video interview. And I did a video interview with your co-CEO, Bas Saleh, back in 2021 when ResetData was first launched. And I'll include a link to that article and video. People can marvel at how much that business has changed in the past 4 years. But that was launched at least a year before the ChatGPT revolution emerged in November 2022. Now, today, ResetData is billed as Australia's first sovereign AI factory. So how has GEYER Valmont leveraged ResetData's strengths in delivering this paradigm shift?
So GEYER Valmont has been involved in designing the AI factory for ResetData. So Australia's first sovereign AI factory was designed and built by GEYER Valmont in Melbourne. So there is definitely an interrelationship there. But in terms of leveraging, we've been leveraging a lot of the internal ResetData technical skills to help us unblock some of the inevitable roadblocks you get when you're trying to experiment with these different technologies. We've also been working with some of ResetData's large partners like NVIDIA to help us optimize what we're doing in Omniverse and those sorts of things. So we've had the benefit in ResetData's ability to share its relationships with us.
What else do we need to know about ResetData's evolution over the past 3 or 4 years, and where you see it going into the next 5 years to 2030? I mean, one of the big things at the time was that your data center was actually submerged in a special liquid that allowed it to be a lot cooler and thus get much more efficiency out of the GPUs and the technology that you're using. I'm assuming you've kept up with that and have even more advanced versions of that cooling technology in use today.
Yeah, so the interesting thing, the foundationally, the purpose of ResetData hasn't really shifted. We are building sustainable AI factories. That's our core. We've just really elevated our service offering to our customers, and we've really thought about this in three different buckets. From a sovereign perspective, we really believe that we have a role to play in Australia, both for government and for society, in terms of providing a safe space for Australian enterprise to house their AI innovations and technology. So we've been focusing in three key buckets. So we've got the Australian business enterprise bucket, which we've been working very closely with different organisations across Australia to help engage with Australian businesses and bring them into different types of incubators, provide them capabilities. For example, the Children's Medical Research Institute recently won $1 million prize to come and use AIF1, our AI factory, to help solve some of children cancer research. That's an extremely proud moment for us, but that's just one of the ways that we're helping and giving opportunity to Australian business and enterprises and research agencies. The other one is government. So we've been spending a lot of time preparing ourselves to work with the Australian government as we understand that we're going to have a role to play in the new world, and that role needs to ensure that it's sovereign. So we've been working really hard on getting all of those regulatory requirements embedded in our business. And then the final one is, we need to compete on the global stage and with our competitors, and building large scale AI factories is something we are definitely looking to announce in the near future. Our AI factories will be different. As always, we like to do things a little bit different here, and sustainability is a big thing. So, we're really looking forward to announcing some of the key projects we've got coming up, which will be quite groundbreaking in terms of, your general hyperscaler capability and providing infrastructure for global organizations. That is on the path for us as well, and we'll be servicing those type of customers. So it's a wide-ranging opportunity for us. We are really excited with what's coming. It's been a huge acceleration from our front with our partnership with Centuria. Their investment in us a year or so ago has really allowed us to accelerate ResetData. So look out, there'll be some really exciting announcements coming.
Well, I look forward to reporting on them and hopefully speaking with you about them at the time too. Now, Marcel, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask if you can please share a memory of your first personal computer. Now, I know you said that you were playing a lot of sport as opposed to sitting with an Amiga playing arcade games like I was doing, but there still must be a memory that you can share.
I do have a memory, and it's of my late brother, God rest his soul. I remember going to North Stratfield Station, which was not far from where we were. There was a computer store there, and
Yeah.
I was only a young boy, and my father took my brother in and bought us our first computer, and I have a sneaking suspicion it could have been an Amiga. I'm struggling to remember if it was an Amiga or a Commodore 64 or
Yeah.
something like that. But I remember that's where we bought our very first computer from. I remember it very clearly, and the exact
Did it
computer
have
store.
tapes or discs?
It had a floppy disk.
Okay, because that's probably, I mean, Commodore 64 had a floppy disk. Would it have been the 5 1/4 inch, the floppy one, or the little 3 and a half inch one, which was more rigid?
No, it was the bigger one.
The bigger one. Okay, because that would have most likely been a Commodore 64. If you could have
Yeah.
afford a floppy disk for a Commodore 64, your life was golden because you avoided the 20 minutes of loading time that it took for a tape. With a floppy disk, it was almost instant, right? In comparison. So
Yeah.
that would have
I
been a
was too
joy.
young to use it.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
well,
I was
it's a
too young
shame.
to use it, but I still remember that was my first experience
Yeah.
with the computer.
Well, there you go. There you go. And of course, nowadays we have smartphones in our pockets that, the kids, when they see the old tech, they don't believe how primitive it was. And yet, compared to what's going to be coming in the next 100 years, our little glowing rectangles of light are going to be seems just as quaint as a corded phone from, the turn of the century.
So true.
Yeah. So, can you please share some of the best advice that you've received in life to help you get where you are today on the cutting edge of design, on the cutting edge of innovatively cooled data centers, and on the cutting edge of AI factories?
Oh, the best bit of advice. That's a really interesting one. The best bit of advice I've ever received is never give up, and that's been drummed into me from my father. So never give up with anything. But when it comes to um, being a serial entrepreneur like myself, what's the best bit of advice I received? Yeah, it's probably never give up. I've been, you know what? I've always lived my life motto is really around, you know, is not to regret what I've done. You know, you always end up regretting the things that you haven't. So
Hmm.
if I've got an idea and I think it's a good one, I'm going to go for it, and then I'm never going to give up trying. So that's probably the bit of advice I could share.
Well, that is good advice. And yes, people should definitely never give up on their dreams. So, what is your final message to the viewers and the readers?
Buckle up, the future's here. Enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. And do be sure to check out that 1x.tech to see that robot. I mean, it's going to be
Definitely
superseded
will.
faster than we know. But the future's definitely the future's definitely here. Well, Marcel Zalloua, the CEO of GEYER Valmont and the co-CEO of ResetData, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I wish you the best of success, and I do hope we can speak again in the future.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers.